Kirby Smart with an update on Sunday night, heading into the SEC championship game about Trevor Etienne. I want to go to the screen on Dawg Post so you can see it as I talk about it. Talking about his status for the championship game, he said, Trevor's a ways away. I still don't know because we haven't seen those guys. He wasn't really close to playing last week, talking about the Georgia Tech game. I don't know how that's going to play out. So just as a person who was on the sideline for that game, Etienne was not dressed out to even take part in pregame warmups. So, I don't know, but my suspicion is we will not see him play in the SEC championship game, and that Georgia's just going to have to get through it without him. He has not carried the ball more than 10 times since Georgia played Texas in the middle of October, or late middle of October, the 19th. So coming on 7 weeks ago. So it's been some time. Against Ole Miss, he didn't play a lot. The Ribs against Florida, the same thing. So, here's where I'm at with this whole thing. And I'm sure Georgia's this way too. You got to be practical about your situation. And right now, Georgia's not going to miss the playoff. They're in the playoff. There's, this chaos this weekend, particularly from Miami, I would say, all but locks in, Ohio State as well, but definitely Miami. Puts the Canes behind Georgia. There's just, they're going to be in the playoff. And if you're in the playoff, all that it comes down to is you need all your guys. I'm not going to sit here and talk like the SEC championship's not an important game. It's a huge game. It's the biggest game of before the playoffs. But the playoffs are bigger. And, if the guy, and A, that's A. And then B, if the guy can't play, he can't play. That's it. This guy's playing running back in the SEC. He's very tough. So if you can't do it, you can't do it. And I don't. There's it's that simple. So I think for Georgia more than anything, it's can you win the game without Etienne? And he was very productive for Georgia last time when they played Texas. He had, I think it was 86 yards or whatever it was, 3 touchdowns. He played. I think one of them was on a 4th down and short. People may correct me on that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think there was a short yardage situation there, and that Nate got in there. That Etienne got in there. But Georgia's going to have to make it work with what they've got right now. Nobody's healthy. They're just people aren't healthy, and this is going to be a game where Carson Beck is going to have to play well or needs to play well or however you want to put it. The same thing for Quinn Ewers or Arch. I don't know of the 3 quarterbacks. Probably it's most important for Carson to have a big night or a good night. But everybody else is going to have to do what they're supposed to do. Georgia's only lost 1 game since Etienne's really gotten hurt, which was the Ole Miss game. And this has not been an ideal year for him. It just hasn't. It is what it is. And it's unfortunate. Let me stop right there. Make sure you're signing up for our newsletter. A lot of people have been signing up for it lately. We've got tens of thousands of people on it. It's free. You get a lot of this information. We send it out there first. We can't, a lot of these videos are programmed in, so we can't tell you when breaking news is going to happen. But make sure you got Dawg Post's newsletter, and you will get what you need. But I think, Nate Frazier is going to have to continue to do his thing. Cass Jones, he's just really good. He's not, in terms of walk-ons, if you want to, I don't even want to make this comparison, but he's not Stetson and he's not Dan Jackson, but he is a very capable and really good running back for Georgia. And then you just have to make sure that on the running back front that, Roderick Robinson is okay. You're going to get some snaps or a snap or 3 from, Dwight Phillips. Dwight Phillips so far this season has been exactly what I thought he'd be. He is a sort of gadget guy with serious speed. Well, guess what? That person can make 1 play and win the game for you. And, getting Dylan Bell back was a big deal. Georgia's not healthy. They're not healthy. They're not playing consistently. But they went up against a defense in Tennessee that is really good, and they scored 31 points on them. I think 31, 34, whatever it was. Georgia Tech did a pretty good job, I think, against Georgia. But at the end of the day, Georgia racked up a fair amount of points and yards. So, you need to run when you need to run. And Georgia's going to have to run on Texas. This is This is one of the best defenses in the country. It's one of the best defenses that Georgia's going to face. What's so hard about talking about Texas and Georgia right now is that this is not a terminal game. Both these teams, Texas is number 3 defense in the country. Okay? So one is Ohio State. This is statistically, so total defense is yardage allowed, all right? So total defense, number 1 Ohio State, number 2 Indiana, number 3 Texas, number 4 Penn State, number 5 Tennessee. Well, Georgia did fine against Tennessee. They did okay offensively against Texas. They did better against Tennessee, from my perspective. But Texas has done a really good job. You look at their defensively, statistically, and they haven't played everybody in the SEC. I saw what Sark did after the game, and if I were Texas, I'd be kind of aggravated too about you're going to see. I think they did see. They're just really good. And I think it's a combination of, they played Georgia and they played A&M. And after that, they didn't play a lot of really good teams in the league. They didn't. And it's just, they played State. They played Oklahoma. They played Georgia. They played Vanderbilt. They played Florida. They played Arkansas, Kentucky, and Texas A&M. I think a lot of people would have loved that schedule. Those are some of the worst teams in the league. However, they're good. Both things can be true at the same time. It's not like Georgia just ran up and down the field on them offensively. They didn't. They did not. This is a really good Texas team, and having Etienne missing is challenging, man. It's gonna be hard. This is probably. I don't know if Texas or Tennessee's better. Probably Texas, but they're both really good defensively, and the stuff just jumps out at you from Texas on the defensive side of the ball. They're really good total defense. The rushing defense is really good. They're number 1 pass defense in the country. They're really good. They're number 2 scoring defense in the country. This is a good Texas team. They are you could make the case that they're the best team in the country. And they just lost to Georgia. Well, Oregon's not played Georgia, so there's that. But you're missing a really big playmaker in Etienne, and that hurts. But now, for the Horns, they're missing guys too. There's a lot of people that are just straight up missing people, and that's what it is. We're at the point in the season where you just are not healthy, and you're not going to get healthy. And now I say you're not going to get healthy. That might not be true, but you are at the point where you're going to have problems dealing with injuries. And it's not exclusive to Georgia. It's a thing that everybody's going to have to deal with the situation that they're in. And Texas has a problem with Quinn Ewers, is clearly hurt. And that's just all there is to it. But I think, let me just say it this way. We're just at this point in the season where guys are hurt. Ewers is hurt. Clearly, if you saw the A&M game, he ran really fast, but that ankle is really taped in a way, it looked like he had a boot on around like a mini boot around his cleat. So everybody's dealing with this, and it does hurt Georgia not to have what would have been their number 1 running back coming in the season, but he's not been playing with them for about half the year. And what's going to be important is what's coming. Not necessarily this game. Both teams, I think it's clear because of the injuries and because of the favoritism in terms of playing in New Orleans, and the time off is the biggest thing. Because of those things, you really would like to win the game. It gives you, in theory, a better situation. I don't know that that's the case. That's a flaw of this system. This idea of we have to see the conference champions as the 3 and the 4, or the 1, 2, 3, and the 4. That needs to change next year. This is not fair. This is not right. And so that needs to be dealt with now. But I don't know if they will. So Etienne being out, it's not good for Georgia, but it's where we're at, and there's nothing that you can do about it. I mean, he's not officially out, but I can't imagine that he will play in this game. He wasn't he was not playing. He wasn't even opening. He wasn't even attempting to to play to practice before the game. I mean, so I don't think that's it's not shocking. I was talking with somebody earlier today. I told him I didn't think that they would that they'd play that he'd play, but it's where we're at, and it's just something Georgia's gonna have to get through. And if they can, if they can win the game without Etienne, that's one thing. But if they don't win the game, one way or the other, both these situations are that the season will really, really start in December. And the question is, will Georgia be at better health in December than they are today? The answer to that is yes. Now, will it make a difference, or they made their path too difficult? I don't know. But I think that all that needs to be kept in perspective. Thanks for watching.